much. Okay, welcome to Core Live, everyone. Take two. I'm Tasha, aka Tobbs. As you may know me in game, I'm part of Manticore's Creator Relations Department, and today is a very special stream. Not only am I joined by Jordan, Manticore's co-founder and game dev extraordinaire, we have with us today acclaimed game designer American McGee, and thank you for joining us, American.
Thank
We'll be
you for
covering.
having me.
Of course. We'll be covering the Alice art contest we have going on that we're collaborating with American on, and I will let Jordan explain a little bit more about that. So passing it to you, Jordan, for the second time.
Thank you very much, Tasha.
Of
So
course.
as you can see here on the stream, we have the Through the Looking Glass contest, sponsored by Core's Open Alpha and of course American and Alice Asylum. So this contest is open to anyone who can make something in Core, which means everyone, and you can find it at artcontest.core.com. So let's talk about this competition. So with this competition, the theme, of course, is Alice in Wonderland, the fantastical nature of Lewis Carroll's world and American McGee's reimagining of it is ripe for exploration, and we'd love to see your interpretation of it. It runs from May 1st to May 31st, and to get started, all you need to do is download Core for free. You can join our Discord where there's lots of helpful people, and there's already lots of amazing submissions. So I think we're going to go through some of the submissions today with American. Let's talk about the prizes, because there are actual prizes for this competition. First prize is going to be a $1,000 Amazon gift card, and American is going to sign some concept art for you. There'll be a portfolio review by some of our Manticore artists, lead artists, and a Cheshire Kitten plush. So that is awesome. You can read. I don't have to read them all here. You can read as well as I can. And there's the plush that American has. And here's some concept art. So this is concept art courtesy of American, and this is things that you can choose to recreate in Core. You can go your own route if you want to. The only requirements are that it's something you create in Core, and my webpage is being slow, so we'll probably actually just jump into Core.
I was going to say my favorite is the flat gray one.
Yeah, that with the spinning circle.
Yes.
So that's really an easy one to recreate, folks. That's some low-hanging fruit right there.
Awesome. And here we have a folder of all of the concept art too, or all the submissions already. I'm sorry, all the submissions. But I think we're going to jump through them live in game. So I don't know, maybe before we even start that, I'm sure that there's not very many people here who don't know who American is, but why don't you give yourself a little bit of an introduction, American? And we worked together. We can, how long ago was it?
That was, well, it was so long ago that I almost don't remember.
Yeah.
And I often hear now that when I started working in the games industry, half the people I meet weren't even alive.
Yeah.
So that's when they go, geez, you're old. But yeah, I started way back when PCs were, stuck together with wire and bits of tape and stuff on Doom and Quake. And you and I met when I moved over to EA. You came over to EA, and I made the first Alice game, which was released back in 1999 or 2000, a long time ago.
Yep.
And then, I moved to China back in it's been like 15 years now, and I had my own game studio here. We made a sequel to the Alice series here. In between all that, I've been involved with a variety of other PC games, console games, mobile games, you name it. And so I'm, game developer, game designer. These days we also do things like plush toys, and we do fashion, and I even run a game jam in Thailand where we take game developers and we put them aboard sailboats, and we sail them around, and they make games for 10 days. And so
that's right, the Pirate Jam.
The Pirate Jam.
Yeah,
Pirate Jam. So yeah, it's actually where we kind of reconnected, was because David from Core reached out and thought maybe it'd be fun to have people come out to the boats and develop out on the water.
Yeah.
But of course that was before the virus apocalypse, so we'll have to reschedule that for another.
Get stuck on the boats?
We didn't get stuck.
No. Oh, okay.
No. We were fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Yes, well, that is true. It was 20 years ago, maybe 21, 1999. I remember very specifically, there were a few levels, and of course, the first American McGee's Alice was built on the Quake technology, and that used BSP trees. And I remember that there was a few levels where it took literally 72 hours to bake the level. And I remember
Yeah,
it was crazy. We had a server farm of like 15 computers, and they were all baking this one level, and it took 72 hours. And it was like 2 weeks before we were supposed to final, so we knew we only had like 4 or 5 more chances to get all the bugs out. And so it's
yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
that's the crazy thing about where gaming has gone, especially with 3D gaming. I mean, like you said, it used to take us hours just to bake levels. And I remember back at id when we were working on Quake, we had these giant Sun Spark, I don't remember what they were called exactly, but they were basically mini supercomputers that were the size of a refrigerator that were filled with all these different blades of processors. And the thing cost like $250,000 or something. And even with all that supposed horsepower, which I'm sure today, like we carry in our phone, similar processing power, but even with all that processing power, it used to take us, like you said, 12, 24, 72 hours to bake a level, which is what makes what you guys are doing so much fun, because people can like literally install and start building and running around at the press of a button.
Awesome. That's true. Yeah, it's really exciting. And because of that processing power, and of course, because of the power of Core and the rapid iteration, we have so many submissions to the Alice contest already that I think if we don't start going through some of them, we'll probably won't make it through. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I've got my Discord
Excellent.
open here, and I'm just going to start clicking on links, and they should launch us into them, and we can watch together with American. Let's see if this works. The deep link should work. Yes, here we go. So this is the first one I clicked on. This is Alice in Corrupt Lands by Ordient, I believe. If you're in the chat, give a shout out. I think you had seen this one yesterday, American, and had commented.
Yeah, I like this one a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, just one of the reasons why I chose Alice in Wonderland as a game to develop when I went to EA was we in the games industry had been building lots of shooters. And shooters, I mean, famously, John Carmack had said something along the lines of, narrative and even to some degree art design or art direction in video games, to him, was about as useful as narrative in pornography. So he wasn't a big fan of it, but I always thought that, these game engines held massive potential for storytelling and for surrealism and for, proper presentation of art, which was one of the big reasons why, when I was given the opportunity to make my own game, it was like, hey, why not go to something classic, go to something really surreal and interesting. That was a big reason why I chose the Alice in Wonderland, motif. And as your entries are showing, I mean, people, their imaginations really go wild when you give them this as the starting point.
Absolutely, yes. And yeah, I remember it was such an exciting product at the time, and it was such an exciting project to be on, and partially because of the sort of just, you could go kind of wild with your imagination and crazy with what you could do in it. So we have, of course, because these are all live games, we have some of our players jumping in here with me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so this is really cool. Alice in Corrupt Lands by Ordient. I'm going to go ahead and grab another one, and let's see where we go.
It's funny, too, how the Alice art direction is such that when you see a scene like that, even if someone didn't tell you, but they gave you 3 guesses for sort of what universe or what story that was from, I think there's a fair number of people who would have guessed correctly just based on the table, the tea set, that kind of stuff.
Yep, absolutely. The motif of the heart, of course, is everywhere in Alice. So this is another entry by Ordient, I guess. This is their second, Alice in Heartwoods. This one is called.
This one's really great just for the lighting. So I'm a big fan of like when you use lighting to sell the scene, and it's not just the assets by themselves, but you've got a lot of really great color painted into the level using the lighting, and it makes this look much more complete than if it was just assets sat there inside the environment.
I agree.
I totally agree. The post-processing effects in Core can really take your scene to the next level. And actually, if anyone's interested in how to use them, we do have a stream tomorrow, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sasha, one of our absolutely amazing, brilliant environment artists, will be going over how to use post-processing and covering all of the kind of best environment design tips. stay tuned.
And then I was going to click into this next one, which is White Rabbit by Zigomar. But before I click into it, I actually want to show the logo, because the logo that they made is amazing too. This gives me sort of a very, I don't know, like that logo is sort of like the Doors logo, right? Kind of. And it sort of makes me think of, it wasn't the Doors. What's the other band that did the Alice song at the time?
Jefferson Airplane.
Yes. My dad would be ashamed that I didn't know that, because he went and saw them at the Fillmore.
Yeah,
back in the day.
And that font is definitely sort of a combo of the Doors and of that Jefferson, whatever they were, Airplane or Starship. I can't remember. I think they upgraded their band from like an airplane to Starship at some point.
Yeah, and then there was the Alan Parsons project, which I think was some sort of hovercraft. All right, so this is White Rabbit by Zigomar, and again with the lighting, the bloom effects. You can sort of see a little bit of. I have been accused fairly regularly by our art director of using too much bloom, too much glow.
Is there such a thing?
I don't think
truly.
Well, when I first launched this engine to play around, the first thing I went to was try to find my go-to material, which is lava.
Yep.
And one of the reasons I like lava so much is that it automatically contains a light source. It also would have bloom, or like a heat bloom around it. And I've always found it to be the perfect material, because not only does it light the environment really well, but it kills people. And so
it's just the best of all worlds. So I think we're traveling down the rabbit hole here. So this is
great.
Yeah, this is really cool. This is showing off our voxel technology. So our terrain system in Core is built on voxels, which means that it's not just a height map. You can carve sections out of it. You can build sections up and overhangs and stuff like that. So this is pretty cool. I like how it's just it just keeps going, and you can actually see there's even some depth of field on that camera there. It's blurry now back.
And is that a light that you're actively following, or is that?
Yeah, no, it might be. There's a light for sure.
Cool.
There, but if you go further down the rabbit hole, it looked like there was a light sort of guiding you forward.
Yeah.
It's got some triggered lights as well.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And another motif from Alice, the clock, of course. You see the clock everywhere.
It's funny. One of the things that we've talked about is that this core might democratize game development. It might make it easier for the masses to build stuff. But at the same time, I just realized it's going to have another knock-on effect, which is that for developers who are sort of lower budget, or who, maybe they're indie, it's going to be a bit of a threat to them, because previously, like if I'd seen this, I would have assumed, well, this is just a small indie team.
Mm-hmm.
But in fact, now you've got someone who's just a standalone, individual developer who's building content like this. So it's going to, I think, force everyone to sort of up their game, up and down the chain of development.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of the sort of goal and the impetus behind Core is to sort of lower the bar and lower the barrier to entry to not only beautiful games like this, but also multiplayer. Multiplayer has always been hard in game development, especially real-time multiplayer. So that's something that you get in Core out of the box for free. Let me go ahead and go to another game there. So that was White Rabbit by Zigomar.
And then, American, to touch on game design through democracy, you've been doing a bunch of kind of crowd design streams over the last year. Can you tell us a little more about that? Because it seems like something that would be perfectly suited for Core.
Yeah, it's my brain's been spinning around a little bit about what this means, like running this contest and then using our concept artwork that we've created. So we're doing the pre-production, the design phase for a new Alice game called Alice Asylum, and we're using Patreon as the source for the funds that pay for all the artists who are involved. And then we're also using that for the place where the crowd comes together. So we call our fans, or the people participating in this process, our insane children. So the insane children all get together there and on Discord, and then they follow along on live streams on YouTube and Twitch, where we go through everything that's being designed, and we talk about the decisions, and we map it out in terms of story and design and artwork. So it is opening up the sort of veil of secrecy to what it is that goes into the design process. to the public, to the fans. And so far, we've all found that process to be really engaging and really rewarding. So, I mean, all the art that we submitted here is a function of that process. And yeah, people are welcome to join in. The thing I'm curious about is, once we start to get 3D content like this built as a function of that process, how far could you take that? I mean, could it end up that it's the impetus either for the funding to flow for a full-blown game, or does this somehow turn into, hey, let's build the whole game in a system like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is our hope and our desire. I can imagine a future, and I've said this before in a couple of videos, but I can imagine a future 5 to 10 years from now where it seems almost archaic that you built games any other way, that you used to have a complicated pipeline, and you had to have multiple tools, and you had to have specialists who could do, ZBrush, and specialists who could do Maya and stuff like that. Like, just as today you wouldn't program a game in assembly language, right? That would seem archaic to you today, to go back into assembly language and try to program a game. In the future, it might seem archaic that we had these really complex pipelines that took 72 hours to get a build. So yeah,
that sounds crazy to me. Only having experience in core and like fixing something in your level can take less than a minute.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Jordan, you and I both have seen attempts by a variety of teams to build engines that both allow real-time editing and or allow for a single individual to sort of combine together all the different roles that are necessary for the content production, the level production, the lighting, all these things. I mean, I've seen variations on that for the last 20 years.
Yep.
And it's a big challenge because it's not only heavy in terms of processor requirement, but the making it functional in terms of UI for the person who's doing all this work is also a really big challenge.
Yep.
And from what I've seen, you guys have, you're getting close to making that a reality. So it's nice to see that kind of progress. It only took 20 something years.
It did, and we've been working on core for about 3 of those 20 years, and we appreciate that, and thank you very much for that. It's been we've had a couple of things up our sleeve, or a couple of things that have helped us. One, we got to start sort of over from scratch. We weren't building on top of any legacy technology really, and if you're at a big company or a big publisher, you've got sort of 10 years worth of investment in your engine, your proprietary software.
Yep.
And it's really hard to move away from that, and it sometimes holds you back. So we were able to start fresh and start scratch and really think about from the top down how we would want to build it so that somebody who had no experience in game development could come in and use the tools easily, but still have the depth that if you did have experience, or as you learned, you could go to whatever to whatever level of complexity you wanted. This one looks great. I should have said who this was. Hold on one second. This was Into the Palace by Stella. I'm gonna guess that's 22, if I did my Roman numerals correctly. So this one is really beautiful. I love the chandelier. I don't think that's our built-in chandelier model. That looks like a custom chandelier model to me that they must have built. So this one's great. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next one.
Yeah, it's come together really well. It's the same. I mean, there's a couple of visual cues in this that even if you were to launch this and show it to someone who had no idea, I think there's a large percentage of people who would guess, like, okay, chess pieces, clocks, mirrors, hearts. Okay, this is Alice in Wonderland, right? Yeah. It's so one of the nice things about working with the property is that there's a sort of shorthand in our culture that we all understand. Down the rabbit hole. It just becomes a part of our culture. So you see something like this and you immediately know where you are.
Yep, absolutely. It looks fantastic. Let me go on to the next one. Let's see what we have. I'm gonna.
Then, American, is there any particular piece of concept art or even scene from the Alice series you're most looking forward to seeing recreated in core, or hoping to see recreated in core?
My love in terms of design tends to go towards things that are surreal. So whenever we see things that are sort of chunks of a level floating in space, I'm always a big fan of that. There was something we saw the other day. I think Jordan showed that he had recreated using a player character, like a character to model transform that he said just put in. But that's the statue of Alice in the Vale of Tears, which is now sort of iconic to the two games because it's in both the first and the second Alice game, and people again instantly recognize this crying Alice scene. So I'm looking forward to see if that, if that makes it in some of these.
We will definitely check. Oh, jumping puzzle fail. It's hard to talk and do this at the same time. This is, let me bring it back up the webpage for this one. This was Alice House of the Chaos by Charlie Chaos. So it was really interesting. I think, from the view here, it looks probably a little bit better. I was not able to get all the way up there, sadly. But this one looks really interesting. Let's go to the next one. I'm going to go to this entry, Alice in the Dream Launcher by McGee. And I know that they have been really excited about this contest. They were, and they were asking if you were going to be one of the judges, American. So they were very interested to have you see their artwork here. So let's go in. I also should mention, sorry, Tasha.
Oh, no problem. I was just going to say I love the Cyclops Bunny. You go.
Cyclops Bunny is awesome. One of the things that's, we should point out here, of course, is how fast we're able to load into each one of these, right? Like, we didn't have to download a huge individual game. If you were on Steam and you wanted to check out 10 different, interpretations or 10 different games, it would probably take you, 5 hours to sort of download each one of them all together. So here we go. Have another cup of tea. We have a Cyclops Bunny. Looks like we have some pretty cool plasma-y mushrooms. Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. There's some stuff floating in the void.
Yeah, I mean, thematically, this one works really well. Again, this one, if you were to show this to someone, especially an Alice fan, they would get this immediately because this is stuff floating in the void. Now, of course, when you and I were working on the first Alice game, one of the reasons we used the Void, which was a skybox in the Quake engine, was because it was very efficient in terms of frame rate, right? So we could pack a lot of detail into the near scene and the geometry in the near scene. Of course, this was back when we really had to worry about frame rate and how many polys were in a scene, and of course, how long it took to cook or bake things. But, I think that stylistically it still works, even if it's not necessary from a technical standpoint any longer. But this stuff floating out here, I absolutely love the idea of a broken Wonderland where there's literal chunks of it that are floating around in the void, and we're continuing that with the new Alice as well.
Rip.
There's a Cheshire Cat grin hiding up there.
There was.
Oh, nice detail.
Falling through the world.
Well, at least I'm not a pro gamer, so my gaming skills are not what we're judging here. Let's take a look at some more. I'm just scrolling through here. I love this one. Let's go this one. So this is Alice Dollhouse from Agrippina. You can already see some spooky doll pieces here. Look at that eyeball. Okay, let's go in. This is
got a baby foot. Awesome.
So this person, I can tell, is an obvious player fan of Alice Madness Returns, because in Madness Returns we had a level called the Dollhouse, and this is a good copy of that motif. It was built out of abandoned doll parts, so it was really creepy. And they've done a really good job of recreating that. And then it was the environment that you're going around inside of is like this with these eyeballs. This is great. I mean, this is almost a perfect copy. I'm really impressed. How did they pull this off?
Well, I mean, through the power of core, and I don't know, Agrippina, I don't know if they're watching them stream, if you're there. Oh, they are.
Oh, they are, yeah.
So maybe you can answer that question. How did you pull this off? How long did this take to make you? Did you load up Madness Returns or look at screenshots?
They said they added the fly ability.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do I do it? Which button?
Might be N.
N, no. F, no. Click, no.
Help us, Agrippina.
Yeah, this is really fantastic. It's very, very close in terms of style, color, content, lighting, a lot of things to what you'd have in the in Madness Returns. I mean, it's crazy the level of detail that they've managed to capture in this recreation, this copy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Thank you. Yeah, and
great.
They answered in chat that they downloaded Core a week ago. And they've been working on it 6 hours a night.
Cool.
It's almost hard to believe. So, I think game developers, development studios, I mean, should really take note because you're going to end up with a bunch of people out there who grab tech like this and start putting their professional teams to shame, right?
Oh wow, look at this other. There's a little dollhouse inside the big dollhouse.
Ah, so cute.
Yeah, I agree, American. We agree. And thank you. Awesome. So let's go to the next one. This is really cool. I'm having so much fun flying through all these.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
All right, here's a late entry. This was entered today, and we just on Tuesday shipped a new feature where you with bones as some of the model. We didn't have bones before, like skulls and things like that. So we wanted to make sure we got those skulls and those bone piles in before the contest ended, so that people could do somewhat creepier things if they wanted to. So let's go to this one. And Agrafina says they are honored. They are truly honored.
Aw.
Well, it's amazing work. They should feel very proud of themselves for that. Really good.
All right. Wow. I love the light. I love the lack of lighting in here. One of the things with core is that we sort of start you off the bright, sunny disposition. So if you want to get something dark, you actually have to sort of do a little bit of work to remove all that. But this person really went for it and has a very dark scene.
Yeah, that was one of my things I ran into, Jordan, when I fired it up, is I immediately wanted there to be no lights other than the light coming from my lava.
Right.
And I was scratching my head a bit there, so
Yeah. I can definitely show you how to do that, but yeah, it's this interesting dilemma where we want people to have sort of 80% base case out of the box without having to do anything. And for most people, that's going to be, hey, I want to be able to see my stuff, right? Like if we started your empty scene with no light source in it, people would start putting objects in and be confused. But I love was that the?
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's beautiful. Yeah, so the key there is got it's a mercury key, so it's very reminiscent of the keys that she collects again in Alice Madness Returns. We have a series of these alchemy keys that she puts together. There's a lot of symbolism related to alchemy infused into the games. I don't think we've got a giant skeleton anywhere in the game, but that's it's still really well done. And of course, the gears are a hallmark of the games as well. So,
yeah, absolutely.
This gets there. Thematically, it's pretty interesting.
Absolutely. So this was Dark Wonderland Invasion by Dryuku, if I pronounced that right.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see more stuff built in your engine where it's lighting like this, as opposed to the sort of worldwide flat lighting.
Right, sunny sky. All right, let's go. There's some more because I skipped a few, so I'm gonna go back up now. There's this one.
And then, American, if I can just ask you a little bit about the thought process behind your design decisions. I read that you kind of focus on what the narrative or main character wants as opposed to outside pressures. And I thought that was such an interesting way of approaching design. And honestly, I think that's how it should be. What kind of perspective or narrative should these creators be focusing on for the contest? And how can they kind of reach that place of knowing what the narrative or main character wants?
Well, the comment that I made about following along what the character wants is specific to the Alice series, because there's a lot of pressure when you're making a game with a female lead character to say, for example, to sexualize her. You're going to get people in the marketing departments who want to see her presented in a certain way, dressed in a certain way, acting in a certain way. That doesn't have to necessarily be about sexualization. It could also be, I remember the last time around that we had people in the marketing department at EA who wanted to portray her as unhinged, as psychotic, out of control, murderous. And I think that was actually where that quote came from, that I said, look, she's not just a psycho killer. She actually has a basis in her story for the actions that she takes and the places that she goes and what she's trying to solve. So that was where that came from. It was sort of ask the main character what she wants as we sit down to lay out her story. And so I continue to do that as we work through the news story for Asylum, and it's really important because it gives her a solid foundation. It gives the audience an expectation of who she is and how she should behave. As that pertains to the building of things in Wonderland, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can go because it is a surreal environment. But there is one rule that we have that people might keep in mind, and that is that we don't see things in Alice's Wonderland that she wouldn't have seen in her own life, or that aren't an amalgam of something she would have seen in her own life. So, as an example, she would not envision in her Wonderland, say, a shark with a laser on its head, because she never would have seen a laser, right? But we do have that come up from time to time. So you have to avoid anachronisms, things that would be out of time, and you also have to avoid things that would be not in Alice's imagination as a Victorian child, right? So those are things to keep in mind. Keep it true to who she is as a character, and keep it true to her imagination.
Wow. Oh, such a great answer. I can't believe I feel like that was just like a word vomit of a question, and you were able to answer it perfectly. Thank you.
Awesome.
I get a lot of practice with these questions.
So we're going to go to Hatter's Domain now, and this one I think is very closely modeled after one of the pieces of concept art that is on the page for the contest. So I'll open this up, and we'll go in there, and then I'll also open up the concept art, and we can look side by side.
Yeah, so this piece of concept art is of the Hatter's Domain, and it's post explosion. So we're going to have the Hatter. In the story, he's messing around with the nature of the reality of Wonderland, because it's starting to slowly realize that they may be living in a simulation. Basically, is what he's coming to realize, that something's wrong with the particular version of Wonderland that they're living in. And as he begins to poke around in, say, the quantum stuff of Wonderland, he triggers this explosion, and so what you get is this result of a kind of chaotic mishmash of all the elements that were a part of his domain prior to the explosion. And this piece of art is done by a concept artist that is working on our team named Dario. He's actually based in Italy. Our team is all over the world, but yeah, he's been producing some really amazing artwork. And this, I'm really stunned again by just how high quality and what a great translation it is of the concept art into 3D.
And the creator for this, Ocelix, I guess, is in chat. They say time to hide some weapons around. Ocelix, the other day I was flying around and at this level, and I discovered that you could actually go down into the teapot here, which I thought was super cool. This would be a good place to hide some sort of Easter egg. And how long did this take you to make, Ocelix? How long have you been using Core for? And how long did this take you to make? You can answer in chat, and we will read that out. Again, the clock here, which is looking awesome. The house is built on the T-sets. I was not able to load. Let me see if I can load that concept art real quick, because
it is an uncanny recreation of it. Oh, and then Ocelix says 8 days or less.
8 days or less.
Amazing.
So I have a thought. I mean,
yeah.
Just sort of wondering, like, so our team that do, the artists that work on this stuff, as I said, they're all over the world. Yep. They're doing work for hire, and they're able to work sort of on off. But obviously, everybody's working for home, which is really good during this particular time in history. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if it wouldn't make sense every once in a while to hire people who are really good in Core to bring to life the concept art that gets done. If we just pick every month like one or two key pieces, and then have somebody out there like us, Ocelix, take on the challenge of recreating it in 3D. It could be really helpful for our process.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's a lot of value in Core in a couple places like that, for rapid prototyping, of course, but also even just previs, like rapid previs. Yep. If you want to previs something in 3D and see what it would look like from like either different angle than the concept art, or see what it would look like for gameplay reasons, you can white box around it and stuff like that. It's I think Core is really, really useful for that. It's again, I'm biased because I'm the co-founder and I help create the software, but in my estimation, it's about an order of magnitude faster than any other engine I've ever tried to build something in.
Well, that part of the process of pitching to raise funding for a game project is and it's a chicken and egg problem, right? You need a team and you need the money in place in order to build the content that you need to raise the money to build the game. But what we're trying to do is build in small chunks and build out all the design and art, hoping that we'll put together enough stuff that we're able to convince someone that, all right, we can see the vision of what you've got in mind here. But going one step further and having stuff in 3D like this, of course, would help that process. So it's kind of got my gears turning on whether or not we could incorporate some of this into our process.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
It would be super cool. Yeah, we would love that. And I do think it's really great because it also, you don't need thousands of dollars with other software, like if you're going to try to previs this in 3D Studio Max or Maya, those costs, I think they've all moved to software as a service subscriptions. They're probably like $150 a month or something like that, but that adds up over a year. Here's a nice little one. This one I think is ineligible, sadly, for the contest because this is by our chief marketing officer, Patrick, who I worked with on Spore a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember Patrick from EA as well.
Yeah, awesome. Cool.
Yeah, this is very well done.
Yeah.
Good work, Patrick. In case he ever wants to not do marketing, switch over to being a level artist.
I think these mushrooms are genius. I think they're just 2 of our pre-made assets. So it's the coral tables stuck on the bottom of birch trees.
It's true.
And they look very convincing.
That's true. And this is one of the things with core where, so one of the sort of concepts that you have to work with in core is that you can't import models from the outside. You have to use what's in the engine, and we're adding new models all the time. But it's really been amazing to me how people have gotten creative with what we have and making stuff out of things that shouldn't be possible to make things out of, including these mushrooms, which were made from the coral table that was turned upside down and put some emissive glow on it. I guess maybe I just like anything that glows. That might just be me. All right. Let's see, and where are we on time? We're pretty good on time, actually. So I'm going to go and look into the discussion and the submissions, see if there's been any late submissions that have come in since we started the stream.
There's some really good work in progress photos, and I'm thinking of one in particular. Of course, they're all amazing. Let me see if I can find it.
The White Rabbit Cave by Zigomar?
Was that it?
Well, it's made either way. It's amazing.
One of them.
Yeah. So this one is not in engine yet, but you can see it here on the screen, and it is something fantastic. I can see there's a sort of a demented white rabbit cave for the rabbit hole in the back there, with whiskers. It looks like that's a grass model actually for the whiskers. Going back to what I just said about using things what they were not intended for. I've always been a big fan of it's called subversion of the form, where you use something for something that's not intended for. One of my favorite ones, and this was actually I think 20 years ago, there was a music video that somebody made from the game Soul Calibur, where they made a dancing music video and they choreographed the whole thing as Soul Calibur with Voldo. And it was called Dance Voldo Dance, and this, when I see things like this, it reminds me of subversion of the form. All right, what else was that? It?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Tasha, or was there another one?
I'm trying to find it. I think they posted it in a random channel. It was like this amazing Cheshire Cat screenshot.
Right.
It was like the smile was taking up the sky, and it was super surreal. I think Elisa has posted another scene we could check out.
Okay.
In chat.
Which chat? I've got like 4 chats up.
Oh gosh, sorry. There's Twitch chat, and then Kaiwi Queens. So nice to see you back in the community, Kaiwi Queens. You've been quiet for a little bit. Also posted their submission as well.
Yeah, and this is not from them, but this is from somebody else. This is from M Cortez 762. This is I love the Cheshire in this one, the Cheshire smile in this one. You have dominoes. You have the chess pieces, of course, the jacks, and we are all mad here. Oh, and look at the other Cheshire. There's 2 Cheshires here. There's the one in the
nice.
Yeah, the smile, and the one back there. So that's work in progress. And then where should I go for the other ones?
Let's see. I have the link that I can send you
Yeah.
that Elisa has sent
I see
me. Where
somebody.
should I send it to you?
Yeah.
I see somebody asking for Jordan's. Where's yours, Jordan?
Where's mine?
Oh, yeah.
I did do one at the very beginning, and then I got busy with everything else. I will show it though. So is this the one you just sent me, Starfinder?
Yes.
All right, let's
Yes.
go in. A classical arena shooter inspired by Alice in Wonderland. So this one might actually have some gameplay in it. We'll check it out. Whoops.
An arena shooter in there. That's actually something that has come up with both of the previous Alice games is, multiplayer. Why not put multiplayer in there?
Mm-hmm.
I've always struggled with the idea because it sort of violates the idea that everything's going on inside of her mind.
Right.
So who's Alice? Who are you playing as? But the other problem that you run into, with game development is when you're building a single player narrative game, if you go and put multiplayer in, it just takes budget away from the single player part of the game, right? So you kind of have to make a decision. Is this a single player game, or are we going to shoehorn in some multiplayer? And so we've always kind of ended up avoiding it. But that's a mushroom rocket launcher.
I do look like I have a mushroom rocket. I really like the glowing orchids or irises here. These are beautiful.
And the mushroom is growing out the end of the rocket launcher before you fire it.
Yeah,
it's great.
And those are those kit bashed?
Yeah, it has. Oh, no,
flowers?
No, the flowers are a new model.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
So do you think if you hit them with that mushroom, it makes them trip and get messed up?
I'm getting
hallucinate.
Yes. I'm getting hit with another weapon. I don't know what weapon that is that they have, but it's doing something different.
I love the custom projectiles they have. I think the VFX they put on it are really fitting.
Yeah. This looks great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, we have a debate going on right now in our design discussions about Asylum as to whether or not Alice should carry something that really looks like a proper gun, because in the past she's sort of avoided that. And actually, one of our artists is in the chat here with us today, Jennifer, and she has submitted recently various types of mushroom guns. So it's funny to see someone is actually building those.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. Like what I like about this entry is that they and sorry if my sounds are so loud. Hold on, let me turn this down. Is that they use the pre-built systems that we provide for the arena and for keeping like kills, leaderboards and stuff. But then they made their own weapons and items for them that were all Alice themed. So that's really cool. So it shows you that they can sort of like oh, look at this gun. The Chocobo launcher.
Oh.
What is that?
Oh.
I love the counter-rotating gears on the scope. That's a very sort of steampunk-esque scope on this weapon. I don't know how to actually hit anybody with this. Oh, there we go. All right, this one is awesome. That was Arena in Wonderland. All right.
Well, there you go. Alice fans, you finally got your death match in Wonderland. Asking for it. We'll play that.
Awesome. And I know there were some work in progress Cheshire Cats that I wanted to show. Let's open this one, this scene. So this is by Daddio. Daddio is one of our creators who streams all the time, and he's always making awesome, fun games. Very friendly. He doesn't know any programming, or at least when he started, he knew very little to no programming. He may have learned since then, but this is his work in progress scene. He definitely added a lot of lighting there since the last time I saw it.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, that looks like something you'd get out of a old school renderer.
Yep. Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, it looks awesome. All right.
Okay, I think Whiskey Weasel Cosplay has a map they would like to share,
Sure.
And judging by some of the screenshots they've shared of their work in progress stuff, I am prepared to be amazed.
All right.
Let me find the link for you.
Send me the link. Look at the Hatter here. This one's really sort of reminiscent of the Hatter from the first from the first game.
Yeah, they've even got the tile, black and white tile floor in there, which is good. That Hatter is beautiful.
Yeah, with
and all the gears.
The gears.
This is a really good one.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, I'm a sucker for good lighting. So when they remove the world light and then they put in individual lighting like this, it really adds value to it. It's gorgeous.
All right. So this is Whiskey Weasel's work in progress. Oh, and there is the Alice, the crying Alice statue. So let's go take a look. I'll leave Arena in Wonderland.
Yeah, that statue has become really iconic. I've seen people having quite large tattoos of it, on their torso or on their legs. Ooh, they even put the burning house in here. Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah, for those that don't know, people ask me, well, what's the difference between your Alice and the traditional Alice? And I always answer that, well, we take Alice and then we burn her family down at the start of our story. So that right there is the reason we're different. Burning
I'm sort of afraid to go in here, but let's see if I can. Oh my God!
You don't have a choice, Gordon.
I know. Oh
you
my!
have to confront your fears.
Oh my God! This is horrific. What has happened?
Oh.
Wow. It's reminiscent of The Shining.
Yeah.
That's what I was just thinking.
That was a portal.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really good. Beautiful.
Wow.
I like how your teleport effect is like a sploosh of blood also. That's great.
Yeah, this is amazing. Wow. Oh, and there's somebody here with me. I was not expecting that. That actually freaked me out a little bit. I got I got chills like
Jump scare.
Yeah, jump scare there. Someone.
If that's Alice, watch out. She might stab you.
Yeah. Okay. We'll stay away.
Whiskey Weasel says, "Go behind the statue."
Go behind the statue.
What waits for us over here? Aww.
Yeah, this is very well done. Oh, I see something glowing back there. Uh-oh.
Boop the
It's
bunny.
like a white rabbit.
Yeah, I'm trying to boop the bunny, but F is not doing it. It might be it only works in preview mode. We'll get this fixed up and working. We'll work with Whiskey to get that fixed. It
looks like you've even got a wall of ice there.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really well done. I mean, I'm really impressed by the interior of that house.
Yeah.
Before. It was very highly stylized.
Yeah.
And, really interesting.
Everything was sort of white, sort of an erased memory, kind of a repressed memory.
Well, that's kind of one of the issues when you have an engine that's supposed to make it possible for anybody to create, is that you oftentimes get a lot of stuff that looks very samey. That they use the same assets, and then you get all of these levels that look like they're basically the same thing over and over again. Now this completely breaks that. This is like, nope, this is something very, very original and interesting.
Yeah. Absolutely. And there's a question in chat, was this made by a dev? No, this was not made by a dev. This was made by a community member, a core user. And are they in the... Oh, Whiskey is there. Jump in the pool of tears. I will jump in the pool of tears. Whiskey, how long did you work on this, and when did you download core? Oh boy. Oh, God.
Oh.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Beautiful. So this is where that scene is.
Yeah.
Wow, they did a great job. I mean, just everything, stylizing of the scenes and the lighting and the use of textures, the attention to detail. It's fantastic. So how long did they say? They said 40.
They said about 40
it's
hours.
their wife's.
They said this is my wife's submission. About a week so far. 40 hours.
It's incredible.
Is she watching right now, Whiskey?
Oh, I see. So,
I hope so.
Your tech. I noticed that when I was messing around in the sort of preview stuff, that you can run between different portals and different scenes, and they don't have to be from the same creator. So, I guess that Whiskey is saying that this actually links into the scene that the wife created. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely the power of core, is that you can have just literally when I go here, this URL right here. You can put that into a portal in your game, and it will connect your game to any other game on the core platform.
So let's start a fight at Whiskey's house by saying which is better, his or his wife's. I'm gonna say that I really liked the attention to detail in the wife's Mad Hatter scene there. That was pretty spectacular. But this the white room in the house though is very it's very shining. That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's great.
It looks great.
Stanley Kubrick. Yeah,
absolutely.
I want a house like that in my house. I want a room like that in my house. That's great.
Oh, he does say they are competitive builders. If you want to, I would love to see yours, Whiskey. If you want to send a link to me on Discord, I'm Tobbs. Then we can truly judge who is the better builder.
Yeah, let's see. What else do we got here? Any late? Yeah, these are all, I mean, just even in, like, literally while we've been sitting here chatting, people have been sending submissions in, and I'm just blown away.
So, Jordan, I have a question
Please.
about the tech. And it's not something I've seen answered, I think, in the videos, but what if people wanted to take this a little further and they wanted to trigger a cinematic with dialogue? Is that something that's in there right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's all possible. And you can script it yourself with Lua. We also have built-in components that you can use that are sort of like triggered cinematics, and you can sort of set where you want your camera to be and set the dialogue. You know, we are still in alpha, of course, and we're going to add more built-in components later. But all that is possible if you know a little bit of scripting right now. And if you don't know a little bit of scripting and you go to the Discord and you ask somebody, someone probably has already made it and put it in community content. And I'm sure that we have a lot of people here who are core users and are familiar with core. But for people who are not and who are just coming here and looking at the cool Alice stuff, what should I show? I'll just show this this thing I made here. We have a thing called community. So I mean, this is just generic anthropomorphic mushroom man
Of course.
that I made today, showing off how you can put costumes on your characters, and he can still play all the emotes.
Cell shading.
And cell shading, yeah, we got cell shading in with post-process effects. But what's really cool is we have community content. Community content is where anyone who has uploaded anything that they've made in Core, and you could just download it and bring it in. So here's a Cheshire cat, in fact, that somebody has uploaded to community content, probably from the contest, and I can literally just drag and drop that into my world here. And it's literally that fast, and that can be more than just models. It can also be gameplay code. So somebody can write an inventory system and just, it's a drag and drop, you drag it in your scene and you've got an inventory system for your RPG. Wow, look at this submission.
Oh, this is another Whiskey submission.
Is it?
Yeah. And then I did send you the link to his scene if we have time.
Okay, yeah. Let me bring in a... So you can imagine the kind of mashups you can do here, where you've got a
oh my god,
a generic Italian plumber bouncing around this land and running into these characters. Whatever sort of mashup dream, fever dream you've had, it should be pretty easy to do in Core just using community content. And we've actually have, oh look, I can bring the pool of tears in here from Whiskey. We've actually had developers who have made entire games using only stuff that's in community content. Let me put that back in again here. I'll put it on a flat surface. Yeah, it's super cool. So yeah, community content is just a really super cool feature that we have, and we encourage our creators to share what they make with the community. They don't have to, of course, but we encourage it because I think the more good content that people can make in Core, the more it'll attract more players, and we'll get that flywheel spinning and have it be a really cool, it's a chicken and egg problem, like you said, like, right? But things like this, I think, really go a long way in showing what you can make with Core, and it's just fun. Like, it's just fun to make this stuff and bring it in and see what other people have made. I've gotten to the point where I don't even.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm wondering because we're building out now storyboards and scripts for various sections of Asylum. I mean, I'm just again, gears are turning around the idea of getting our community involved with actually building some of this stuff out, and it makes me just think. I mean, how many scenes do you connect together before you've actually got a 12-hour game experience, right?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, how far away are we from that being the standard for game development?
Exactly. I mean, and we support all kinds of version control solutions. So if you're using, Git for your project, or you're using Perforce or whatever, you could actually have a project on GitHub that's public that people could submit to. If they've got core, they could submit to it, and you could take the pull requests and sort of do, open source collaborative game development almost that way. It would be really, really sort of interesting.
Well, that's another sort of attempt that I think you've seen of online collaboration tools for professionals, where a lot of times, in game development, a lot of times it kind of falls on its face. It seems like you've already got something happening here where people are collaborating, they're checking their assets in, they're building and exchanging inside of an open marketplace, and it's working quite well. So yeah, I mean, how long again until you see people professionally starting to leverage that?
Absolutely. And I think one of the reasons that works so well is because we sort of built everything with core from the ground up to be all interoperable and intercompatible, so that if you take something from one person's community content they make, you can literally just drag and drop it in to your scene, and it just works always. You don't have to do import step and then have the UVs are messed up and like all this stuff that we're sort of used to, the headaches we're used to in traditional game development. I'm gonna follow this. This might be whiskey here. I don't know if this is, but I'm gonna follow them because they seem to know where they're going.
Memories.
Oh, they're waiting for me to open the door. Well,
Woo! Another portal.
should I trust the skeleton in the pirate suit? I don't know. Let's go.
Always trust
What could go
pirates.
It looks like I'm in the sewers. Now let's see where this goes.
Could be inside the caterpillar's hookah pipe.
Yeah, that's true. Oh.
Mm.
Oh no, that was a trap. That was a trap.
Oh, this is awesome. Oh my gosh. So the whiskey team has created a few scenes each, really. This is incredible.
The husband and wife team.
Yes.
I think you're right.
So I want to know how much of the sort of additional outpouring of creativity might be a function of the fact that so many people are locked down in the world right now. Could be kind of a positive side effect that there's a lot of people at home who are looking to learn new skills and to build new creative stuff. So yeah, it's great time for it, maybe.
Yeah, I think so too. And I really think that there's been a latent desire to do game development that just could never be fulfilled because it was so hard and the barrier to entry was so high. And we saw with YouTube, we saw the democratization of video production, and anyone now can run a YouTube channel and sometimes make a living off of it. But it was still very hard for games, and we want to do for games what YouTube has done for video, what Twitch has done for streaming, what Twitter has done for one-liners,
And for the destruction of society.
Well, that too, yes.
Yeah.
We try to avoid that.
Yeah. And then I wanted to show off. I wanted to also bring up this one here real quick. This is BFM, one of our creators, did this Cheshire cat, and this is looks like a low-res screenshot, but I will show off here because this scene looks pretty cool. BFM is another one who's been very active. He's a creator who's been very active in our community and had no prior game development experience, like literally had not any experience on the art side, on the engineering side, but had always wanted to. And American, I'm sure you get this all the time too, when you tell people that you've never met before, who don't know you, that you're a game designer. They always say that sounds like an incredible job, and they have a brilliant idea for a game if only they knew how to program or do art or whatever. And so we really want to empower that with core.
I can confirm that's what I said to Jordan when I met him. Cool.
Great.
Awesome. So I think we're coming up on time now. Yeah, we have been here for an hour, and we've seen a lot of amazing stuff. It's going to be hard to judge, honestly. I think it's going to be very hard to judge. The fact that they're all interactive, a lot of them you can run through and they have little things that happen, is super cool. And yeah, the
Can
contest.
we take bribes?
Yeah.
Would that make it easier to judge if we accept bribes?
It might make. Oh, and somebody did ask for mine, right? I feel bad showing mine now because all these have actually blown mine away. But I will go back and scroll up and find. Oh my gosh, I didn't even look at some of this. Okay, let's go back up.
You know, Jordan, that's the power, the beauty, and the terror that comes from crowd design. I've noticed this as well because we've opened up our design process to our fans. There's a lot of days that I'll be staring at my screen and these ideas are coming in and I'm thinking, damn it, why didn't I think of that? but you know, ultimately it's better for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So it's good when you see your tool, your baby being used to build things that even go beyond what you might be capable of building. It's wonderful.
Absolutely, I agree. Let's. I can't find this now, so I'm not gonna let you suffer through that. So thank you so much for coming and chatting with us. I think the audience had a great time. I had a great time. It was good to
I had a great time.
Yeah. It's good to catch up and
Awesome.
and go through all these and reminisce about 20 years ago, and also about Alice Asylum. To hear about Alice Asylum and the Patreon. You can plug that, by the way, if you totally want to.
Just patreon.com/American McGee, and it's one of the largest game-related Patreons in the world, I believe.
Awesome.
Somewhere in the top 10, and it's got a great community, and we produce a lot of great art and content, you know, story and design, and then we also produce like physical goods and rewards for our audience. So yeah, anybody wants to join us over there, and I'm thinking pretty seriously that we might try to find a way to fold in some aspects of core to that as well. So anybody who's building content like we've seen today that wants to join in, please come over.
Awesome. Yeah, we'd love that too. Definitely follow up with David too and see if we can do anything official. That'd be awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Tasha. Thank you, American, for getting up early. I'm staying up late. We're 12 hours difference.
Yeah.
And Tasha's in the middle. All right.
I'm right in the middle.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody. All right. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.